All right, quick announcement before we get started here. Please consider giving me a follow on Twitter. It's at ThrabenU, link in the video description. I'm going to be doing a decent amount of guest content in the coming month, and especially if you are interested in EDH or CEDH, I'm going to be getting into those scenes. And since I record YouTube videos quite a bit in advance, I won't always be able to kind of give you a meaningful heads up. All right, let's get to the content. Yeah, do you ever just wake up in the morning and decide to choose violence? And by violence, I really just mean Dark Ritual, because Dark Ritual is sweet. That's what I did today. Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And today we're playing with Jace M's remake of a Bosch and Roll deck list. So not too long ago, Bosch and Roll, Brian Koval, recorded with sort of a Grixis Super Friends style deck. And some of the cards were a little big and a little clunky. And Jace remade this deck, kind of trimming some of the clunk and kind of adding more efficiency. And then I changed a few cards from there, and we're going to kind of see how this goes. The general idea is to be, like, air quotes, the best Dark Ritual deck that you can be. Dark Ritual historically has powered out a lot of really dumb things, from storm combo finishes to Trinispheres to a little bit overcosted creatures. And today we're going to use them to play lock pieces. Our goal with this deck list is to power out either an early Opposition Agent or an Ashiok Dream Render, both of which essentially shut off fetch lands, and the goal is to do this on turn 1 and just say, you don't get to play Magic. And of course, we have the tried and true plan of Thoughtseize and Hymn to Tourach, both of which are castable off of Dark Ritual in the same turn. So when you take your opponent down that many cards, you're often going to leave yourself in a very advantaged position, especially like if Hymn to Tourach like randomly spikes the best things in their hands, or sometimes their lands. Now, supplementing the rest of this shell, we have a very, very light splash. The idea being that the mono black version doesn't quite have all of the tools it needs. So, for example, a mono black deck often has trouble answering a resolved planeswalker, and Lightning Bolt here is supposed to help out with that. And we're going to have Hidetsugu Consumes All, which was originally in the sideboard of Jace's deck, but I decided to promote it to the main deck. It's really good. It's just great at sweeping up Urza Saga's tokens, which are absolutely everywhere. It exiles graveyards, which is relevant for the Murktide matchups, and then it just turns into a scaling threat. And we also have some spice. Prosper Tome-Bound from the recent D&D set. It's a Tiefling Warlock with Death Touch, and it has Mystic Arcanum, which for the D&D fans out there is an ability that allows Warlocks to cast spells. I guess like if you're a D&D fan, you know that. I guess that's for the rest of you then. At the beginning of your end step, you exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you can play that card. And this is really useful because cards like Liliana the Veil that are causing symmetrical discard are going to make it so that like you can kind of have a card that hangs out in exile, kind of avoiding the Liliana discard clause. Whenever you do play a card from exile, you are going to make a treasure token as well. Rounding out the main deck, we have the nice Shadow 3/2 pseudo-unblockable creature of Dalthy Voidwalker, which also serves as Graveyard Hate. And occasionally you get to like accidentally play an Emrakul very early after casting a Thoughtseize or a Hymn to Tourach while controlling one of these. Sudden Edict is a card I've been super impressed with in Legacy as well. The split second ability making it uncounterable just means that this is very reliable removal in a world of Force of Wills, Force of Negations, Dazes, and whatnot. As far as the sideboard goes, this is going to look a lot like a typical mono-black sideboard, except for the red splash side that we have over here. We're going to get blast effects to help deal with opposing planeswalkers, and I guess counterspells as well, with some overlap in certain combo matchups like Show and Tell. And then we have both Meltdowns and another Hidetsugu Consumes All, because I really don't want to get bodied by Urza Saga tokens this league if I can help it. And there's been a lot of 8-cast on Magic Online recently as well. I think that's all I have to say here. I haven't played this deck at all yet. I'm a little worried that we're a touch mana heavy, and so we're going to maybe flood out a little bit some games because we have 23 lands and then 4 Dark Rituals on top of that. But if you look, like, we do have 12 3-drops and a couple of things that are kind of more than that as well. So maybe this is appropriate. I'll be keeping an eye on that throughout the league. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. If you're new here and you do enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to support me. And if you're a regular, please throw me a like before the video begins. That's the easiest way to support my content for free. If you end up wanting to try this one out or get one of your own decks on the channel, that information is always available in the video description. Let's battle. All right, I'm going to be keeping this hand. We've got a lot of early interaction. We're playing against a Yorion deck of some kind, which means discard is a little worse in some ways. While historically Yorion has often meant death and taxes, it's really been Cephalid Breakfast or blue mid-range piles more for me online recently. Yeah, blue mid-range pile. Let's go. Let's see what my opponent... Taiga? Okay, sure. I think my plan is to use Hidetsugu Consumes All to really, like, deal with an Uro in the short term. So I think I just him to Tourach this turn rather than slap down the Dauthi Voidwalker. And just a little thing here. Since I have 2 polluted deltas in hand, I want to make sure that I fetch with one of them. Ooh, gosh, got a Ramunap Excavator. That feels good. I want to make sure I fetch with one of those, just to make sure I don't have double Pithing Needle, or sorry, double polluted delta in hand for. It says non-land. It says non-land. I thought that was about to get even spicier. I think so I can double spell next turn. I go ahead and play Hidetsugu Consumes All right now. Badlands. This Badlands. Like this art. Oh yeah. We're consuming. That gets rid of the Abundant Growth. I'll check their graveyard next turn. And then play Dauthi Voidwalker. Followed by him in that order, I believe. Okay. My opponent did find blue mana. They don't have white mana, if that's something that matters. Alright, I think I'll... my opponent has things like Ramunap. Get a second Badlands. I am going to start with Dauthi Voidwalker, so that whatever I him does go to exile. So let's check that out. And BD, just going to grab a Primeval Titan next turn. So my opponent is probably playing a Yorion Green Sun Zenith pile, from the look of things here. I imagine that if my opponent has Swords to Plowshares, this Dauthi Voidwalker, like, has to go right the fuck now. Or it can be Prismatic Ending as well. But unfortunately, we've got Summoning Sickness here. Ooh, I think I just Sudden Edict right now. Just makes it a little harder for my opponent to do some things. Okay, that was good enough for the concession. Yeah. All right. That was a savage bullying. I like that. I think I want another Hidetsugu Consumes All to help keep graveyards in check. Like, Uro is a thing that my opponent showed me. They also showed me Ramunap Excavator. Wouldn't be crazy for something like Knight of the Reliquary to be in there as well if they have some life from the Loams. I think I'll probably play Liliana the Last Hope just as another 3-mana threat that I can Dark Ritual into. From there, I'm not sure how deep I want to go in other directions. Like, Surgicals can be interesting, but, like, Surgicaling one threat out of a Yorion deck is, like, maybe not the best general strategy. Like, Blasts are okay, Necromentia is okay, another Gurmag Angler is okay. Honestly, I don't think my opponent should have forced my turn 1 Thoughtseize. Kind of thinking back at the game, there were more impactful plays that mattered a lot more later. I feel pretty good about my cards here. I'm not really sure what's bad. Maybe I can remove Lightning Bolts and stay Threat Dance. Maybe I can remove a little bit of discard on the draw. Like, if my opponent's going to Force of Will discard spells, though, and, like, make it so that I actually resolve the cards that matter, like, that's super cool for me. Maybe just cut a land. Cut a 22. Or cut a Dark Ritual or something. I don't know. Dark Ritual is really good. Cut one random land, and then... I don't know. Like, the Death Touch isn't great here. I don't know how I feel about Prosper. I don't think I cut the removal spells, especially the Sudden Edicts. If yeah, maybe like the existence of Dryad Arbor alone is the reason to keep Lightning Bolt. Let's try this. I think I'm gonna want Prosper back in on the play though. Kitchen Finkel is also a great username. Honestly, opponent just has great taste. Like, look at that. Look at this. We're on the same page. I mean, there's some portion of the time where, like, I just play this opposition agent and the game ends, and then there's some portion of the time where, like, this opposition agent gets countered or swordsed, and then this hand does an awful lot of nothing for a while. I think I mulligan this. God, this hand's so much better. I think a land goes back here. I think I keep my threat density, assuming that in 3 draw steps I find a land most of the time. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, always Dark Ritual. And then I think I play the one that's harder to disrupt. This walks into Force of Negation, but this walks into Source to Plowshares. So I think I'm going to go with the Ashiok. Oh, there is the Force of Negation that punishes me for that decision. But I think my opponent probably has more Swords to Plowshare type effects than they do. Oh, are you gonna like Stoneforge Mystic me? No, it's a Green Sun. That's fine. I can just blow that up with Hidetsugu Consumes All or Lightning Bolt. Oh, you always bolt the bird, like that's the heuristic. But I think the Hymn to Tourach is better here. My opponent is low on gas after Force of Negationing. I think I just want to see where that goes. All right. We hit a land. I've given my opponent access to blue mana. A Green Sun, that's fine. Idle Reliquary will be a 3/3 if that's what's coming here. Theovold, a little annoying. This is sort of a weird combo here, but I think I'm down for it. Let's take that Leovold out of the way. My opponent gets to draw a card, and then I will Thoughtseize that card away unless it's a land. Yep. That's fine. So, like, opponent has a Yorion, which they can put into hand this turn if they don't have another play. Yep. All right. Nice flex. So the real question here is, like, do I just hold up Opposition Agent, or do I just Hidetsugu Consumes All? The Opposition Agent blowout's really good. Not that, like, destroying the bird isn't. I'm going to go for the Opposition Agent blowout. Alright, opponent didn't end of turn fetch. My Opposition Agent play is just awkward if my opponent has another land. I've forced them to not fetch. I think I just want to play my Hidetsugu Consumes All. I think I'm just going to accept that my opponent can fetch and then play the Yorion. Use this to kill their bird and start pressuring their life total and nuking their graveyard. Yeah, that's fine. Because otherwise, like, I'm just going to get time walked multiple times as I don't use my mana. And I don't think... Oh, okay. Let's get that ticking up instead. Yeah, I think this ticking up is just stronger. Let's plus on that bird. I don't think I want to attack into Endurance here. I think I'm just gonna chill. Yep, makes sense. Opponent choosing to nuke their own graveyard despite being an Uro deck. Yeah, so that can come in and pressure my Liliana. That's fine. Oh, hello, more other Liliana friend. Let's absolutely jam that. Minus, force my opponent to sacrifice. I play around a second Endurance. I don't think I do. Let's crash in. All right, nice. It worked. No targets for that. Call it a turn. Then next turn, like, I'll play Hidetsugu Consumes All, and then start ripping apart my opponent's hand with Liliana. Opponent, like, got super punished by not fetching the second time. Like, just absolutely savaged for that decision. All right, I'll plus this Liliana. Force a discard. Okay, opponent has 1 card left, and it's Yorion. I can go ahead and safely attack in for 3. Draw my opponent to 13. Continue to plus this and work that towards an ultimate. Yeah, I think opponent, like, didn't fetch the second time. Yeah, absolutely exile all graveyards. That's fine. We can both discard a card here. Yeah, and I'll do that before attacking. Alright, opponent has Junk Yorion, so whatever card they have in hand is more valuable than that. So I don't think I'm going to attack here. I'm just going to plus on nothing and call it a turn. You know what? Fuck it. Like, if the Yorion's gone... Yeah, okay, cool. It's also kind of like gauging the speed of my opponent's stops. Yeah, that's fine. Another Hidetsugu consumes all. Disgusting. These things aren't legendary, by the way, despite the fact that they, like, feel like they should be. Go ahead and just plus a ponder there. Crash in since my opponent doesn't have very much mana open. Go to 10. Plus this Liliana. Yeah, this is an absolutely disgusting showing with this deck here. Prismatic Ending? Only got 2. There's 3. Okay. So the Opposition Agent is gone, which allows my opponent to fetch again. But I get to take out this Uro here. I'll make my land drop whenever it attacks. Oh, it's when it deals combat damage to a player. So let's go ahead and plus this. Oh, and Omnath. Cool. Plus that with no targets. I guess I can fetch now in case they randomly have an Opposition Agent. Which I'm not really expecting, but, you know. Bash in for 3. Throw this thing. I have another one coming next turn as well. Like, opponent can fetch a Dryad Arbor and poke one of my Planeswalkers or something. But, like, opponent needs something that destroys all of this in a single card, which I don't think is realistic. Alright. So, I'll make my land drop. I'll plus this Liliana. And do something in response, that's fine. I'll just go ahead and plus this. And next turn, this Liliana ultimates, which pretty much should be unbeatable. This Liliana can also ultimate next turn if I want it to. I probably don't. Alright, there's a fetch after a very quick ponder. Yep. Opponent's not technically dead, but life's bad. Okay, we're seeing a prismatic ending. That means opponent is still alive. Yeah. Back for 3. Put opponent to 2. I can just, like, ultimate and remove my opponent's white sources here, so that a prismatic ending or Source of Plowshares off the top doesn't deal with this. Not sure if that's correct or not. Because if my opponent, like, does keep 2 lands and then answers this card, it's awkward for me. They'll probably top deck better than I will. I think I'm in a favored position. I don't think I'm going to give up this card. Yeah, opponent said, I lost this game by not searching with Heath that turn. Didn't expect you to play around Endurance one turn and then not the next. Yep. Alright. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can just leave the card in graveyard here. 7. Play a Gurmag Angler. I will happily just plus and force my opponent to discard again. They've got something, they've got something. Yep. And then I'll try to kill Gurmag Angler next turn. Grist, sure. Okay, yeah, opponent's ready to concede. I just do Insect Token versus there, and they are effectively dead either way. GG's. Alright, I'll be keeping my opening hand here. We have a nice curve of Thoughtseize into Douthie Voidwalker into Opposition Agent. We're playing against a Yorion pile again. A Yorion pile that is mulling to 5, or what that's worth. Let's see what they got going on over there. Okay, it is just going to be similar to what we played against last round. This was a tough one. The Icefang Coatl long term makes my Gurmag Angler worse. I kind of just want to take the Ponder here and try to brainstorm lock them with their own cards. That sounds appealing to me. Like, brainstorm lock them with their own cards, and that gets me the time I need to resolve an Opposition Agent and try to pull ahead quite a bit. Alright. Just Misty Pass. Let's play a Voidwalker. Yep. So there's the fetch, so that card actually goes to their graveyard rather than exile. And they are firing off the Brainstorm in response. So here's to hoping that they have Brainstorm block themselves like I want. Oh, just pass the turn. No. Rats. That's an abundant growth. That's fine. It's good, but it's fine. That's not currently castable. I think I'm okay with that. I'm going to crash in for 3, and then I think I'm just going to sorcery speed this opposition agent. My opponents on Magic Online have like not been getting blown out by this card anymore because it's just like more common. So I think I'm okay with telegraphing this so that I potentially don't time walk myself in terms of mana production. There's a Windswept Heath in there. I don't really care about that. I don't want to attack Opposition Agent into Icefang Coatl as of right now. So let's crash in for my 3 shadow damage. That's just perfectly safe to do. I'm good with that. I think I just want to chill with another Opposition Agent up. Yeah, your Icefang Coatl's fine. And opponent fires off like a Swords to Plowshares or equivalent. I'll flash in another Opposition Agent. I think I'll actually flash it in right here and be good with that. Ooh, Force of Will pitching Uro. Uro obviously a little bit less good with the Dalthy Voidwalker around. Speaking of less good, my Gurmag Angler's not looking too hot right now. Alright, no attacks from the Icefang Coatl here. Hymn's cool. I think I'm good with that. The cards go to exile for my Dalthy Voidwalker as well. Endurance, Recruiter of the Guard, Force of Will. I don't think any of that is better than just bashing in with my Dalthy Voidwalker here. Little short of playing Gurmag Angler as of right now. I have 6 of the 7 towards it. Opponents' cantrips are going to be made worse by, like, the presence of Opposition Agent here. An opponent's still just like, oh, okay, taking out the Dalthy Voidwalker rather than the Opposition Agent. That's reasonable. Me? Okay, that's pretty good for me. So let's do some fetching here. Kind of fill up my graveyard a bit for the Gurmag Angler. Go ahead and get Hidetsugu consumes all going, which technically destroys an abundant growth. Doesn't matter a lot right now, but like it does matter. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and have exactly enough to get a Gurmag Angler in play. Now, opponent does have Yorion chilling in exile, so if they break on their draw this turn, they can just play that, like put that to hand. But they're pretty far away from actually casting that. Let's nuke some graveyards. Guess I can get rid of this zone. I don't care about it right now. Make a land drop, and we'll just kind of chill. Opponent's Icefang Coatls are doing great defensive work versus my deck right now. This thing has trample. So, like, my attacks in with that are pretty reasonable. There's also some point where I just, like, do attack, crash in, and try to force the trades. Opponent's going to put Yori into hand this turn, in all likelihood, yeah. Yes, I will take a free land. I'll take a Bayou, I guess. I also just get to look at my opponent's deck here. I should take a screenshot. Oh, they are on Alurin. I didn't see those previously. Makes sense based on the recruiter that I saw. They don't need white for anything. Yeah, I'll just take this black source out of their deck. All right, good stuff. Onboard tricks and whatnot. So Yorion only blinks stuff that you control and own, which is relevant here. I can safely go ahead and play the Bayou. I'm going to go ahead and drop a Liliana of the Veil here. We are going to plus getting rid of that Yorion from my opponent's hand. So we've preempted that problem. At this point, I think I'm okay with attacking in with this. Otherwise, my opponent can like attack down this Liliana. So I think I'm good with this attack. It also just like makes the trample turn next turn a little better. Yeah, especially if my opponent does not block for some reason. Yeah, nice. Dark Ritual, not a great draw. I kind of just want to Edict my opponent here. Let's do that. Alright, the Bird of Paradise is gone. Opponent has 2 copies of Endurance that they could have drawn. Like a 1 in 30 chance of happening. I'm just gonna go ahead and attack, I think. Classic. The first rule is the Yorion deck always has it. Alright, so I lose my Vessel in combat here. And then I probably lose the Liliana to an attack. Which is unfortunate. If I would have plussed, I would have known the Endurance was there. I still wouldn't have been in a super great position afterwards. Okay, opponent is sending both of those here. So that occurs. Alright, so did you draw the other fucking Endurance? I'll be mad if you drew the other Endurance. I will straight up be mad. Like, it feels like it, but I think I need to push here. Okay, an Ice Fang Coatl. I'll just take this opportunity to resolve the other one. Yeah, not great. Like, opponent top decked very well when in a tough spot. So I will need to draw like a Planeswalker or another source of card advantage here. Under's fine. Opponent has a lot of really bad top decks. The Force of Wills, Force of Negations, Allurans, and lands are all not really good. That one, though, is a hell of a drug. I can't answer that. Doesn't really get me any ground. Don't think I'm going to cast this yet. Like, there's some worlds where opponent takes an attack and then things aren't as safe as they think they are because of Sudden Edict. Uro is good here. Like, everything that just gains my opponent a little bit of life to further put them out of range of just, like, a couple Opposition Agent attacks killing them is, like, actively good. I don't think I need to cast this yet. Okay. Edict you. Edict you. And then hope Uro doesn't manage to fumble its way onto the battlefield, I guess. Opponent has Sylvan Library to help select for a blue source that doesn't require fetching, or alternatively, a white removal spell that gets rid of Opposition Agent. Okay, there's a Ponder. Quick Shuffle into a land drop. And that is not a land that works towards Uro. I think I have to just continue to attack in and try to kill my opponent. Like, my opponent has Ice Fangs, or I guess Ice Fang doesn't matter this turn, but, like, Endurances and such that are, like, very relevant. Oh, the Sylvan Library is so horrifying. See what they've got? No. Okay. That's a prismatic ending. So, Uro is live next turn. That's a hell of a drug. Okay. Let's cast this Dark Ritual so I don't lose life for it, because I don't think the Dark Ritual itself really matters. And in addition to that, let's also go ahead and, like, fetch and thin a land out of the deck. Let's draw a card. Oh, god damn it, that's one turn too slow. Damn. I'm still gonna play it, but it is just on the wrong side of playability there. The opponent will fetch. This gets their other blue source and clears their Sylvan Library if it wasn't already clear. And then they get to escape their Uro. Is exactly what's happening. And the Uro feeds them more life for Sylvan Library at a time where I can't really do much about Uro or Library. The Castle Lockdwain gets to help with it a little bit. Like, gives me another draw towards another Sudden Edict. Alright, deck, let's... Holy fucking shit, let's go! So with that trigger on the stack, I will Sudden Edict, target you, get rid of the Uro, and then send that shooter to the Shadow Realm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Draw a card with Castle Lockdwain. Make another land drop. Okay, everything went right there. Everything went right there. That was so clutch. I still am going to care quite a bit about opponent's one copy of Endurance that is remaining in their deck list. Ooh. Am I going to die to an Alluran kill? Seems likely. They just like recruiter for recruiter for recruiter for Arctic Merfolk. Yeah, there's the Arctic Merfolk. That bounces a recruiter. Yeah. Not great for me. So there's the Cavern Harpy. So Cavern Harpy lets opponent pay life to return this to their hand. So we'll see at what point they actually... Okay, there is the Yukima. So when this leaves the battlefield, it deals X damage to target player, and you gain X life, which I believe means at this point, I am just dead. So, like, this deals 2 damage every time, whereas the Cavern Harpy loop only costs them 1. There's enough time left on the clock where I'm not going to make them click through it here. That was a really good game of Magic. So I had a lot of trouble dealing with Icefang Coatl in particular. I might need to bring in Plague Engineer. Plague Engineer can also, like, stop some of the Recruiter of the Guard, Cavern Harpy type stuff. I think I'm good with this. I like Hidetsugu consumes all. I maybe need some number of these, maybe not all of them. Liliana is another way to deal with small stuff. The discard is not great in this matchup. Well, I should clarify. The discard is not good in the grindy games. It's fine in the combo games. I have lots of cards I can sideboard, and I'm not sure how to approach this. If I go down on the discard a lot, like, for example, junking the Thoughtseizes, I might need to cut this just because, like, there's other more important to the planned things coming in. Like, I can probably cut the Gurmag Angler as well. Like, it's a 5/5 finisher, but my opponent has, like, these random Icefang Coatls and a bunch of chump blockers. I think things that are more interactive are going to be more important here. Need all of these. And then, like, the question is how many blasts? As of right now, I have one blast coming in. It matters mostly for the Uros. There's also, like, Teferi Time Ravelers, and, like, these also can counter some of the combo pieces. Tourach can potentially go. It doesn't have protection from Icefang Coatl in any way, but, like, maybe I have to leave in some number of things that just beat. I don't know. If, like, I'm boarding in an extra Hidetsugu consumes all. I could do this and then, like, not play the Rebs. This is reasonable. This is unexciting, but fine. I did not see any Wastelands from my opponent, so I'm just going to go Badlands go here. That way, if my opponent leads on, like, a Noble Hierarch or Bird, I can just take care of it. They did not. And I'll slam a Douthie Voidwalker, followed by another Douthie Voidwalker. Some portion of the time I do end up playing Opposition Agent next turn, though. Alright, it's resolved. See where it goes. Like, very much on board with the Shadow Threat here. Opponent plays a Mana Dork. I probably bolt it and play Douthie Voidwalker and save Opposition Agent for the following turn cycle. Sure. In that case, I think I'm just going to Sorcery Speed up. I think I try to catch something with Opposition Agent if I do have Dark Ritual. Yeah. I think that's worth waiting on. Yes. Yes. Here we go. Nice. I would like to take a snow-covered land out of their deck, I think. To make it harder for Icefang Coatl to get live later. Nice. So I will crash in for 6 damage, and we'll try to end this game very quickly here. Grab a colorless land, and start Hidetsugu consumes all. I don't get any value off the front portion of this. That's fine. I just want to check the graveyard and work towards having another threat. The Sudden Edict here and the Lightning Bolt just mean that my attacks are just so very safe. Castle Locktwain. Don't mind if I do. Attempt 6 damage here. How do they always have it in the Yori index? Like, I also, like, have it here. So, like, there's that. Sudden Edict you. Take 6. Also, only one of these needs to connect next turn since I do have a Lightning Bolt. What do you got? Concession. We take those. All right. Am I good with this configuration on the draw? I think so. I'm still a little unsure about some of these threats in terms of closing the game. Like when things go my way with like the opposition agents and Douthy Voidwalkers and stuff, I don't need more threats. But like my plague engineers become slightly worse if I'm not supporting the larger threats. So IDK. I think not interacting with my opponent at all until turn 3 is not acceptable on the draw. Going to go ahead and mulligan. This hand is very good. I will keep it. I cannot pitch any of the mana sources. I'm going to play a 3 mana card on turn 1, followed by a Hymn to Tourach. Part of me wants to junk the Liliana and just keep the creatures that can attack. Liliana can become a very good turn 1 play, though. Like turn 1 Liliana plus turn 2 Hymn to Tourach Lily plus. Really hard for my opponent to get established through that. But I think the Liliana also cannibalizes my own hand in a way that I don't really like. That's fine. That does mean opponent has access to white for better playing around Opposition Agent. Let's do the thing. Womp. Dark Ritual. Opposition Agent. Show me that you can answer this. There's 4 Swords to the Plowshares in your deck that do this with the mana that you currently have access to. Alright. Attack is safe this turn. Icefang Coatl does not have Death Touch yet. And then I'll have Sudden Edict to help in future turns as well. I think I just Hymn here. It's possible getting Douthy Voidwalker in play is just better. Yeah, that's fine. You can hide your most valuable card on top. It's probably something like a Prismatic Ending. Prismatic Ending and Teferi become live in a way that they weren't last turn. I hit 2 lands, which is potentially very good depending on what the texture of the rest of my opponent's hand looks like. They do have a 3rd land. That's a Leovold. I can Sudden Edict that away. So the question is, like, do I want to Sudden Edict that away right now? Or do I want to play Douthy Voidwalker to preemptively shut off the graveyard? I don't think I want to give the opponent the card yet. Let's do this and chill. It may become more difficult to remove the Leovold by waiting a turn, though, which is, like, the awkward part. But we'll see. Like, opponent very well may spend resources, like cantripping and such. Okay, nice. Getting rid of that Abundant Growth is actually, like, surprisingly good here. Second Opposition Agent also is really good, but I can wait to play that in response to an Allurin, I suppose. I can also just, like, Sudden Edict Leovold in response to, like, an Icefang Coatl. Taking my opponent off of white mana seems good, too. I guess I can make my attack first and go from there. Yeah. My opponent's at 14. Yeah, I'm gonna take my opponent off of white mana. If they don't have a Swords to Plowshares right now, it becomes very difficult to remove these opposition agents. Alright, okay, we did it. Alright, there's the Endurance that I played around by not attacking. They are going to nuke my graveyard because they saw Gurmag Angler previously. That's fine. My Sudden Edict is going to become worse over time here. That's fine with me. I'll take the 6. 3 mana for Yorion to hand. Sure. So I'll nuke graveyards here. And probably pretty safe to just fetch ahead of time. Grab a Badlands. Nothing super fun in exile as of right now. And crash in with both of these. Put my opponent to 8. All at a turn. I have 2 options available to me. I have another threat coming soon. Alright, are you attacking all out again? No, just with that. That's fine with me. I'll go to 9. And I will play another opposition agent. Force of Will. That junked Yorion, by the way. So we can get rid of that. Double Sudden Edict is disgusting. When do I play that? That's a real question. I probably just wait as to, like, not give my opponents cards and try to kill them next turn. Yeah, let's wait. Attack them down to 4 and then hold up double Sudden Edict. It just, like, becomes very, very awkward for me. Okay. Yeah. That has to be sacrificed. I guess that's fine. This is going to be really tight. Okay. That's all fine. Sudden Edicts become more awkward here because of this Allurin. I think I wait to see if I draw like a Plague Engineer here. Unrivaled Genius. Unrivaled Genius. Cast that with Allurin. Put that on human. Okay. Now, do I cast these Sudden Edicts? I think so. It's like super awkward when my opponent sacrifices. Okay, that makes this easier. Now I go ahead, Sudden Edict them. They don't get a card for the second one. And I attempt lethal damage. Some things could go wrong. But, like, recruiters have been taken away as a chump block option. Alright, that is the concession. That was a heck of a slog, but we're 2-0. Alright, will my opponent reveal a Yorion for the third round in a row? Alright, I'm on the draw. I could use more mana with this hand. I have a turn 2 play that's okay. I have a bunch of turn 3 plays. Like, the hand's fine. It gets improved by lands and Dark Rituals. I'm such a good Dark Ritual deck, though. I kind of want to just, like, mulligan, because I think I get a comparable 6 almost every time. I'll keep this pitching 1 fetch land, I guess. There's an argument to just keep the fetch land for, like, the 2 copies of Gurmag Angler that I play. Okay. Are we getting mooned? We are getting the Rabble Boy. My Plague Engineers are in the sideboard. Sudden Edicts aren't good against Rabble Masters. I don't think I can take the point of life here. I think I'm just going to go Swamp, pass. I think my opponent is going to win this one for being on the play. Especially if they just follow up with another threat. Yeah. That's not good. My Edict effects are just not effective here. I can still draw a Hidetsugu consumes all. That would be pretty legit. Alright. Dark Ritual into thing that blocks. So then at my end step, I should get this Mystic Arcanum ability. Give me one more look at a Hidetsugu consumes all. Blow this up a little bit. Okay, they looted away 2 lands. Seems good. Ooh, another Chromox. The opponent needs red for something, presumably Chandra. But Shatter Skull smashing. Alright. Damage report, Captain. Fuck! Yeah, that's pretty good. And also gets a treasure token here. I don't think I have outs anymore. I don't have any, like, crazy mutilate type cards that just, like, wipes this field. Ow. Yeah, just literally dead on turn 4 to aggro. First hand also would have gotten run over by this. I need my sideboard cards here. I am dead even if I block the Fury very easily. I'm also dead if I block 2 things via, like, a Dark Ritual. Alright. Get me cards that impact the board. I guess Lily counts here. So, Ashiok doesn't have a lot of text. My opponent's not really doing searching. Thoughtseize is defensible on the play, but I really don't want to be impacting my opponent's hand most of the time. I want to be impacting the board. And I value bodies and things that get my opponent dead or trade with their stuff very highly. Cutting the Thoughtseizes means I will have fewer turn 1 plays, but I'll be better against a Resolved Chalice. Possible, like, I'm going a little too deep with the meltdowns, but the opponent's deck has a surprisingly fragile mana base. Yikes. I don't think this wins. If this has a turn 3 blocker, it plays around the Blood Moon stuff, but I'm not really getting a great advantage by keeping this hand. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan again. Okay. At this point, I need to keep. Having gone down this many cards, I probably can't keep Meltdown. And I probably can't keep Tourach. I don't have, like, a Dark Ritual to accelerate towards it. Like, it's an okay blocker and, like, combines okay with Sudden Edict, but not feeling great about it here. Let's see how bad it is. Yeah, please just Chalice me. Yes. I think at end step here, I'm going to fetch. I don't want to draw more lands. Let's just take those out of the deck. And I am absolutely going to go for the Hymn to Tourach here and just try to strand a bunch of stuff in my opponent's hand by taking their red source. I took 2 lands. Here's to hoping. Oh, please don't invalidate my Sudden Edict. Okay, opponent did not invalidate my Sudden Edict. In terms of mana efficiency, Liliana is good here. But Liliana will die to like a Goblin Rival Master sort of thing next turn. I think I just accept that. Just use my mana efficiently with the hope of drawing a land. And then getting to play 2 cards in 1 turn. The Saga acting as like another 3 mana air quotes Planeswalker as well. An opponent looted through 2 more mana sources. Another Fable. Ugh. Disgusting. Man, I'm just really on the wrong side of this matchup. I want to be playing this deck right now. I think this becomes draw a couple of Dalthy Voidwalkers and kill my opponent. I don't know that I can fight the onboard stuff all that well. Like, just multiple of these is lining up so well versus, like, my Edicts and Liliana. So, like, we're just gonna see if I can do cool things with Dalthy Voidwalker. It's possible there's another line of keeping the Hymn to Tourach and trying to Hymn to Tourach a really good card out of my opponent's hand to cast it for free with Dalthy Voidwalker. Like, if I randomly spike a Chandra Awaken Inferno or something like that, like, that's a realistic way to win. But it's a bit of a long shot, like, especially considering that my opponent, like, had 5 on-board mana once this thing attacked. Alright, yeah. That gets to kill Dalthy Voidwalker and Chandra. Which is disgusting. And now my opponent has like Reflection of Kiki-Jiki plus Fury. I'm ready to concede here. My opponent's about to get more value out of that. This feels like a very tough matchup. Like, the Blood Moon and Chalices aren't good against us, but the value that they are getting from their creatures is just very good against what I've got going on here. My mulligans didn't help, but I don't like how the matchup feels. All right, for those of you who skipped the intros, just a heads up, you might want to give me a follow on Twitter. I'm going to be getting into the EDH and CEDH scenes, and since I record YouTube videos quite a bit in advance, I won't always be able to give you all a heads up for when I'm going to be making guest appearances, and following me on Twitter is going to be the best way to find out about those. For everyone else who has already heard this, I apologize. Here's a Boba Tea Squishmallow that I've named Boba Fett to make up for that. Back to the content. All right, I am on the play. I have the possibility of attempting a turn 1 Ashiok. That can just win the game on its own. I'll keep that. Here we go. Fetch for a swamp. Dark Ritual. Ashiok. If it resolves. Oh. Force of Will pitching a Stifle. Which means my Marsh Flats isn't necessarily safe. So there's that. I think I'm just going to play it and pass. I will fetch in response. I think I'm supposed to get Badlands. I don't really want to get Wastelanded, but I really want to cast this Lightning Bolt and make it so that I can Gurmag Angler in the not-too-distant future. Okay. Other Stifle. Ooh, cool. So this feels like some sort of Ledger Shredder, Murktide Regent pile. Okay. A little bit of a wild deck list. Attempt end step Lightning Bolt on Stoneforge Mystic. It succeeds. I would have dazed that if I were the opponent. So I'm going to take this opportunity to try and resolve Gurmag Angler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's Gurmag Angler. Now, opponent can have Swords of Plowshares and answer this, but this will dodge the Lightning Bolts and Swords of Plowshares. Fuck! Why did they have to have... Fuck! Why did they have to have the Wasteland? Life's okay if I draw lands. I can Lightning Bolt, Stoneforge, and then Sudden Edict the Germ. Alright. Not how I want to be using my mana here. Yeah. That's going to dump the Cauldron into play. Ugh. They have 2 pieces of equipment or 3. Also, do I need to just take the Force of Will so that my removal spells can actually resolve? Just playing out these Stoneforges as like things that fuck with my Sudden Edict is like bad enough. I'm gonna take the Jete. This situation is dire. Like I'm okay with dealing with Stoneforge, just generally speaking. I swear, if you top deck the Batterskull, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. All right, attempt to crash in for 5. That is a Stoneforge Mystic block. I am good with that. I'm going to go to my opponent's turn and then Sudden Edict this Germ token. I'm waiting for their turn so that if my opponent's one unknown card is Stifle, I'm okay. Or, well, I at least force them to use mana on their turn. Really? Okay. That's a real blow. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's rough. And now, like, I have to both Lightning Bolt and Sudden Edict to get that Cauldron out of play. Alright. Take 5, go to 5. And then effectively be dead. Not literally, but effectively be dead. Alright, opponent had the 3rd Stifle, essentially. I'm not super great at dealing with Cauldron outside of taking it out of my opponent's hand, so I probably can't board out Discard. I have Stifle and Wasteland to worry about, so like while Pyroblasts can make me better versus the Stifle effects and Snapcaster Mages and such, they will incentivize me to get fetch Badlands and make me worse against Wastelands. So that's the thing. Gurmag Angler probably dodges some amount of my opponent's removal. I think I like that. The Search Clause on Ashiok will be good against the Stoneforges. I don't really know exactly how I want to board. I probably want this. I'm unsure on like Blasts and the other Hidetsugu. Like I want some number of Hidetsugu consumes all. I don't know what that number is. Yeah, I don't really know here. Maybe let's just randomly go down one piece of discard and call that good. Like, there's worlds where I'm supposed to board Meltdowns that help deal with like Jetes, but they don't actually answer Cauldras, which is a problem. This hand does nothing. This enters tapped. That's devastating. I will lose the game on the spot to a Wasteland. My turn 2 is good, but I don't think good enough. Ugh. Okay, I'm not ready for Gurmag Angler yet. And then it's like between Opposition Agent and Lightning Bolt. If my opponent plays a turn 2 Stoneforge, I need this Lightning Bolt. Otherwise, I would prefer Opposition Agent. But like my 3 drops are more replaceable than my other cards here. Let's fetch. I think starting on a basic. I could think about that for a long time, though. Yikes. I'm going to take the Brainstorm here. Like, my opponent has a lot of lands, and I don't necessarily want them to shuffle those away right now. We'll see them ponder immediately. And my opponent chose to shuffle. Okay. I have to wait a turn if I want to actually resolve this Hymn to Tourach. So I think I'm going to chill. There's a world where I'm supposed to fetch with Marsh Flats here, but like if I fetch with Marsh Flats, I want Swamp to play around Wasteland. So, you know, the thing. We're essentially trying to Hymn to Tourach and hit the... All right. Sure. Anyway, we're trying to Hymn to Tourach and hit the Wastelands so that my Badlands that I fetch works out. A little frustrating. But I'm not getting clocked yet. So, like, that's the good news. The bad news is I have 3, kind of 4 dead cards in hand. It's fine until opponent draws a threat, at which point it is very much not fine anymore. This is Daze Bait. It's like, this doesn't die at a prismatic ending. Yep, I am good with that. And we can attempt to Hymn to Tourach away some goodies on my next turn. But, like, I know Daze is gone. If they have another Daze, like, they have another Daze, but I need to cast cards here. I have another Daze. Alright. Like, absolutely have not caught a break here. Okay, opponent does not have any plays. They're just chilling. is probably worth attempting. I think it just eats a Force of Negation, though. Like, that's just the vibe I've got. Oh, okay. Let's discard some cards, then. I will junk a Lightning Bolt here, I think. Opponent junks a Swords to Plowshares. If they have a third land and 3 different colors, they can Prismatic Ending this away. Yep. That is happening. The other fetch land. And goodbye, Lily. Come on, red source for Hidetsugu. Oh, that'll do. I'm just going to play it into a Daze. My opponent has used 2. And I kind of feel like my back's against the wall here. I also don't want to let them untap and just have hard cast Force of Will as an option. Okay, yeah, you can wasteland me. All right, there's the 3rd Daze. That is a little frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. They milled their own Cauldron, which is cool though. That's a Jitte. They don't have a threat to back it up, so I'm not currently scared about that. Yeah, if this was a threat that didn't take if this was a threat that didn't take many turns to get active, I would have played around Daze, but like, given how many turns it takes for that to actually start attacking for 3, I felt like I just had to jam there. Are we still passing, or did we find a threat? They found a threat. This is where I see if my opponent has a 3rd piece of equipment. They do not. Yeah, you can go for the Jitte equip, that's fine. Where I get stifled. Yeah. Insane. Sudden Edict you. Because my opponent has multiple wastelands sitting in play, I need to hold this land until I want to cast this Lightning Bolt. Just inconvenient, because, like, I know my opponent has, like, fucking Snapcaster Mage in their deck. That's cool. Alright, no end of turn stuff on their end. I think I'm just going to hold this and try to play it around Prismatic Ending. I'm fine with going for it end of turn. Nice. Probably means opponent doesn't have counter spells as well. Okay. That's not really the timing to do that, but whatever. That's quite good. So let's attempt that and get got by, like, Daze and Stifle. Nope. Okay. It's a little awkward. I maybe should have fetched first. So if I fetch and my opponent has Lightning Bolt, I lose Lily. I think I just let this one go. And just plus and just eat that card. Alright. Yeah, I think opponent fucked up their turn by not just taking 3 from the Opposition Agent in the combat step. And they could have Force of Willed this and then removed it on their own turn. Okay, there's a land drop after the Brainstorm. Fetching to clear. Okay, that eats Lily. Top deck something else cool. That kind of counts. Like, I feel good about this if my opponent's graveyard is empty, but it just, like, so feels like they are a Murktide Regent deck. I just haven't seen one yet. There's another Thought Scour. Targeting themselves puts those things into exile for me to use, so that was potentially a mistake. Alright, good stuff. Shadow Creature goes Burr. Shadow Creature does not go Burr. Opponent fucked up. They should have waited till I attacked, because now I can do this. Sacrifice the Douthie Voidwalker. Use that to just draw a new card. Thought Scour, target myself. That for free. Oh, I got Castle Locthwain, which is sick. It's going to get wastelanded, but I get a card out of it. I guess because of, like, Hull Breacher type effects, I should just draw this card now. Already played a land drop. All that a turn. Opponent 100% was supposed to wasteland this land. 100%. I'll just play my land drop and pass. Probably going for end of turn Opposition Agent. Beginning of your upkeep. Okay, sure. That's fine. You're the Monarch. I'll let that land go. Well, I'll float the mana, but I'm not going to activate it because I want to play end of turn Opposition Agent to become the Monarch. I don't want to play Opposition Agent now. Or sorry, I don't want to play Opposition Agent in main phase to play around my opponent's last card being a Prismatic Ending. Land drop, I guess. Back on in. I have become the Monarch, and now my opponent's card probably wins me the game. Ooh. Ooh, buddy. Yeah, you can mail me for 2. Oh, those were some bangers on top of my library, though. Yeah, there's the Prismatic Ending that I potentially played around by waiting. Okay. That seems like weird sequencing. Seems like you want to brainstorm first and figure out your options, and then, like, adjust accordingly, because if you draw something like a Swords to Plowshares, you have much better lines for the turn that are, like, more mana efficient. Yeah, that's all I've got, and that was a shuffle with the Ponder. No Stifle currently available, so this is probably just a time to double fetch Badlands. I will do so. 1, 2, 3, 4. Play Prosper. Go to my end step. Put these on the stack. Ooh, a Hidetsugu consumes all. Is very legit, especially if my opponent does have Murktide. Oh, also Opposition Agent. I will probably Dark Ritual into Opposition Agent to better play around days while still playing this card within a turn cycle here. Yeah, your Brainstorm is fine. This thing dodges Prismatic Ending. Opponent hasn't used that many Swords to Plowshares, and they don't have many cards left in deck. Yeah, that's fine. Where's your threats, though? Like, where's your ways to take back the Monarchy? Because you need them right now. That's another shuffle with Ponder. That's a fetch land. And then end of turn, I will Dark Ritual and play Opposition Agent so I can keep attacking. Opponent should have fetched in response, potentially. Sudden Edict is cool backup. Attack my opponent for 3. Yeah, this is going well. I Hidetsugu consumes all. The first portion of that doesn't really do anything here. But the nuking the graveyards, I imagine, will. Snapcaster Mage, sure, what are you targeting? Target Swords of Plowshares. That's fine. I'm gonna make my opponent use the 2 mana to equip Jete, and then I'm going to Sudden Edict their Snapcaster Mage when they do. Yep, I will take some life. I'll draw a card. Another Castle Locthwain is legit. Opponent mills me for 2. Not that big a deal again. Alright. Yeah, you can wasteland my mana source. I don't even need to float mana because Sudden Edict is just uncounterable. Yep, you can equip. You can crash in. And I will Sudden Edict you and ruin your fun. Yep, good stuff. And now I nuke the graveyards, which is kind of huge. Also, speaking of kind of huge, this Ashiok is horrifyingly good here. Like, my opponent does not have many cards remaining. So, like, milling 4 is very real here. And I get another card. Alright, well, nuking the graveyards had a little downside there. Okay, my opponent will mill me. I can also just, like, hardcast this thing. Exile all graveyards. No, each opponent's graveyard. That's fine. There is a world where I consider whether or not I draw a card with Castle Locthwain. I was like, the milling is real. I think I will go ahead and draw a card. It's a little awkward if it's like randomly Hull Breacher that my opponent has. A Hymn to Tourach. I mean, show me what your card is, I guess. It's a land. That's fine. I guess I can preserve my graveyard then. Do this. Mill you. Oh, yeah, okay, there are Murktide Regents in there. Like, there they are. Take another land here. So, in theory, there's 2 Murktide Regents remaining in my opponent's, like, remaining 8 cards. Okay. Yeah, opponent can't search. Okay, there is the concession. Yeah. So, like, opponent's deck is full of, like, Stifles and Dazes that are, like, very much not good cards as the game goes on, and they're not taking advantage of the tempo that they are getting by playing those things. Like, part of that was, like, their Murktide Regents were just in the bottom of their deck, and, like, that is what it is, but opponent does not have many ways to win the game. And given that I know that now, I kind of want Pyroblasts to just better prepare against their Murktide Regents, because if I don't die to Murktide Regent and I don't die to Stoneforge Mystic, I don't lose the game, right? Like, my opponent does not have many threats. So I care less about winning the game than I do about, like, not losing the game. And I'm going to be better at the Monarch game than my opponent is. I just have more creatures. What does that mean I cut? That's what I'm currently having trouble with. Because I want these things that are going to make me not lose to Murktide Regent. But, like, I also need to respect the Monarch game. I don't know. Maybe Hymn's not great. Like, this game is going to go on forever. I just, like, trade 1-for-1 with my opponent until I stick a Planeswalker or, like, Prosper or something. I could buy that. My Gurmag Anglers get a little worse if Hidetsugu comes in, but eh. And like, do I... Thoughtseize is nice because it is another quick answer to Stoneforge Mystic, so I think I probably keep those. This game goes long enough that I can maybe trim a fetch land and maybe trim one Opposition Agent or something like that. Like, I don't know. I probably ended that game with 9 lands in play. Yes, this is fine. Like, basically, I'm keeping hands that have lands and a way to deal with an early Stoneforge Mystic, because that's the spookiest thing in many worlds. Bad lands, that's fine. Well, I think I'll just play Swamp and pass here. Like, I can get cutesy and put the fetch land in play, and then, like, try to play the game where, like, I fetch while that's down. Yeah, there's the Stoneforge Mystic, so I will attempt to Lightning Bolt that on my own turn, and play around Daze in doing so. Alright, do I fetch? I think I fetch around Stifle here. And hope they don't have Force of Will. Badlands. Attempt Lightning Bolt. Nice. And now, beginning next turn, if I want, I can throw Haymakers. I might not need to start throwing Haymakers immediately, though. Yeah, like, I can wait a turn and play around a Daze here on Ashiok. Or I can wait 2 turns and play around it like a Daze and a Force of Will. Simultaneously, rather. Yeah, we're chilling. Ooh, that's really good. Yeah, I think given the information that I have, I will absolutely just wait. And then I can go for, like, end of turn Opposition Agent, trying to catch the fetch land into a better play on my own turn, like Prosper or Ashiok. Yeah. So here's Opposition Agent. Opponent just letting it go to my turn. Cool. Let's get information here before I make any actual plays. I will Thoughtseize you, and then sculpt this turn accordingly. That's fine. Force of Negation, pitching Daze. Sure. And I think I'll go ahead and attempt an Ashiok. An Ashiok that plays around another counterspell, and my opponent just used 2. I'm good with that. Mill 4, nuke your graveyard here. Ooh, a Stifle. Opponent is fighting over that. Do I fight back? Nah. I guess I also could have considered Ashiok target myself to fuel Gurmag Angler. Oh, opponent just fetched into my Ashiok. Yeah, that's fine. And then I'll just Red Elemental Blast that out of play. When do I cast this? Now? Will I just cast this now? Alright. That was easy. I play Dalthy Voidwalker here as follow-up. And I can pretty easily play a Gurmag Angler next turn. I think I'm just going to do this and nuke those cards from my opponent. Ooh, Jitte. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I'm good with that. What you got? Prismatic Ending seems like. Yeah, Prismatic Ending on Dalthy Voidwalker, that's fine. If I draw a land, I might mill myself. Ooh. That's really good. I mean, all these cards are really good. I think I want to hide the Lily in hand for a little while. I don't think I want to play a card into Daze. Yeah, let's play Gurmag Angler around Daze. Just delve away the whole graveyard. Nuke your graveyard once again. Call it a turn. I've got a Murktide Regent covered. I've got a Stoneforge Mystic covered. Opponent can't get up to Prismatic Ending for X equals 3 to kill an Ashiok. Alright, yeah, that is good enough to get the concession, and we're up to 3-1 with this deck. Alright, final round. I've kept a hand that goes Ashiok Brr. So that's a keep. Let's see if it resolves. Would be super tight. Yeah. mill opponent and see what they're playing. Oh, they are playing Storm, and I stuck a turn 1 Ashiok? Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. That's very exciting. And hopefully I can back this up with some discard a little bit later. Infernal Tutors are off if opponent is playing those. Wishclaw Talismans are off. Burning Wish is still live. Ooh. This is some interesting sequencing. Opponent has Chrome-Moxed a Veil of Summer at sorcery speed prior to playing a Brainstorm? Does that mean opponent has another Veil of Summer? Like, it's just a little weird. Okay. Am I going to get turn 1 through Ashiok? Oh, I see. It's an echo situation. Okay. All right, opponent's continuing to go. They don't have black mana. Their storm count's not high enough for a kill. They don't have enough mana for a kill. Okay, there's black mana. Okay. Galvanic Relay. Galvanic Relay is strong there. That's a lot of stuff to exile. So I have 4 mana this turn, which will be a Thoughtseize, a Liliana, and an Ashiok activation. But opponent has a lot of stuff in exile. Not really mana, though. Alright. Dark Ritual. Thoughtseize you. Alright, these Wishclaw Talismans are off with an Ashiok in play, so I'll take Burning Wish. I'll go 3 mana. Liliana. Liliana plus. I'll just junk another Liliana here. I'm not going to need multiple of those, and my opponent's not going to take it off the board. Then I'll go ahead and minus and clear your graveyard in case that becomes relevant. So, see where this goes. I hate that I can't see which ones opponent can and cannot cast via Galvanic Relay here. That's a little annoying. Seems like that is something that should have Moto functionality, but it only has Moto functionality on the opponent's side. It's probably everything about after the Echo. I guess I could, like, math it backwards and figure that out as well. Okay. What do you got going on? Opponent, yeah, that is not good to do with an Ashiok in play. This may be a time where opponent is just, like, refilling their hand by casting, like, a couple of Brainstorm and Ponder type cards. We'll see. 5 total mana as of right now, plus a little bit more because there's a Rite of Flame in exile as well. All right, there's a Ponder. That means they currently do not have access to red mana. Although there's a Mox Opal in exile, so I guess actually that's not true. Let's a shuffle with that Ponder. There is another source of red mana. It may just be another relay turn, honestly. Galvanic Relay is going to be, like, surprisingly good at dodging my exile-based stuff. Meltdown is potentially going to look sick if turns are going to end up looking like this. I'll have a lot of things I can board in. Like, a lot of things. Like, basically, every card minus Gurmag Angler and Liliana Last Hope are playable in this matchup. So we'll see where this goes. Starting to look like I can die. Oh, opponent naturally had a Tendrils in their deck. Seems good. I believe that was lethal. Yes. Not anything to spare there. Alright, that's a little frustrating. Like, I lost through 2 hate cards. Okay. So, I want Plague Engineers for Goblins. I want Hidetsugu Consumes All and potentially Meltdown to wipe artifacts. Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblasts are okay. Surgicals are okay. Necromantia is probably pretty actively good. Like, I name Burning Wish, and it shuts off a huge amount of my opponent's actual options for winning. Gurmag Angler is another threat. So let's see how many cards I don't want. I do not want Lightning Bolts. I do not want Sudden Edicts. Prosper is just too slow for this matchup to matter. Most of the rest of this stuff is okay. Tourach is, like, borderline too slow. This gets me another board wipe. That's another piece of interaction. That's another piece of interaction. I think Plague Engineers to hedge against Goblins is a good idea. And then, like, how much of this stuff do I actually want? Graveyard is somewhat relevant. Discard's good, Dark Rituals are good, Oppositions are good, Lilies are fine, Ashioks are good. You're gonna go down the Gurmag Angler. Like, I probably have enough ways to win the game in deck already that I don't need Angler. And, like, play a Blast effect into that slot. Surgicals become good with discard and kind of bad otherwise. They're also a little awkward alongside Douthie Voidwalker. I think I'm okay with this configuration on the play. This is a mediocre 7. I'm going to try for a good 6. This is not a good 6. As a 5-card hand, this is pretty darn good. Just start with Lily immediately. Probably. Dump, like, Plague Engineer and Douthie Voidwalker here. That seems okay. And try to ride this Liliana to victory. I think I have to discard my Thoughtseize here and keep the second land drop so that my future top decks are live. But it's kind of close. It can be awkward if my opponent specifically junks Echo of Eons with this. But pretty unhappy about mulliganing to 5. But as far as my start goes, like turn 1 Liliana makes it harder to build up a reasonable sequence. All right. Such is life. Multiple LEDs discarded. I think my opponent's favored here. Maybe if they don't play cards. All right. Continue to plus. I'm going to need a follow-up play. Otherwise, we're kind of remaining at a similar situation where my opponent is potentially a ritual away from doing disgusting things. Once my opponent hits their second land drop, they can also play out things like Wishclaw Talismans that are going to really mitigate the power of cards like Liliana. All right, what do you got? Nothing is the answer. I'm going to go ahead and thin a land out of my deck here. Like, it's super marginal, but I'm good with it. Nice. I'll Plague Engineer, put that on Goblin. So that I'm less likely to lose to something like Empty the Warrens. Which is not the thing that my opponent wants to kill me with, by the way. Like, they would much rather have me dead than give me a turn. Dunking 8 Tendrils there. Okay, opponent's going off. Feels like an ad nauseum type situation. We'll see if I'm right. LED, 6 mana. Yeah, ad nauseum. Ad nauseum from this number. Most certainly should kill with 4 floating mana. Mox Opal is not live yet, but will be live soon. Same. I think this is the point where I'm dead. I'm a little slower at doing the math with this deck than with Ant, but that should do it, right? Mox Opal, LED, that's on. Rite of Flame, other Mox Opal for mana. Yeah, I think that just does it. I'll let my opponent click through it here. But like after mulliganing to 5, I needed something else to follow up that Liliana. And I do not regret discarding the Thoughtseize because I think I needed to play towards like all of those other castable cards in my deck. The Hymn to Tourach's, future Thoughtseizes, Douthie Voidwalkers, like all that stuff is super relevant. And if I don't keep a land, I'm just like going to be Liliana plussing, hemorrhaging my own resources. So like it is what it is. Okay, yeah, there's the Burning Wish. There's the extra mana. An opponent can like even Past in Flames kill if they want, or they can just take the W. Yeah, there is the Tendrils for lethal damage. I will go ahead and concede, and we end up with a 3-2 league. But this is a very positive 3-2 league. Like I'm very happy with this deck list. This deck list felt strong. We powered through multiple Yorion decks. I kind of feel like the last round goes better for us most of the time. Like I think like I did lose 0-2 to that deck, but like looking at all the tools that I have access to and like the speed at which I can get those out via Dark Ritual, I think most of the time that goes better. But you know, like sometimes you mull to 5 and you lose, and like that is what it is. yeah, I feel good about this deck list. Like, obviously, like we're playing a spice card for the sake of playing a spice card, and like there's some small non-bows in the deck, like Hidetsugu nuking our own graveyard mattered a couple of times, but like I would absolutely be comfortable playing this in leagues and expecting to do pretty well with it. And feel free to try this one out and let me know what you think of it. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. It helps out quite a bit. If you want to try this out, the deck list is available in the video description, as is my donation information if you have a sweet brew you want to see on the channel. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!